All right, the next step is to design the sole. So to design the sole, you take the shoe and place it over a piece of paper and you draw it out. So you just place it over and you can just trace with a pencil. Actually, I use a pencil rather than my silver pen. Just trace the sole out. Typically, it doesn't get all the way to the edge of it, so you only mostly need one piece of paper here. So then I'm gonna take. Actually, I need to do this. So I'm gonna put it back on. All right, so it's not quite dry yet, so it's kind of coming up. So I have the tracing right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and draw that out all the way. So that's my tracing of my sole. There. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Here's a sole tracing. I am gonna go ahead and put it back on there and see how it fits. So I'm gonna put it back there, and it fits pretty good. It fits pretty well. I don't need all the way in here, so you want it just past the sole line that I draw, the heel line that I drew here. You want it just past that, and to taper in somewhat so you can see it on the outside. Because you're gonna shape the edge of it so it tapers down into the heel. So that's that. So once you do this, you take this is your sole leather. This is the underside and the top side, and you're gonna put it there, and you're gonna draw one and flip it and do two. You wanna draw the two sides for the 2 feet. So I'm gonna put one here. I'm gonna trace it out. Now you wanna use a silver pen for this because it traces a lot better with leather than pencil. Go ahead. So I have my 2 cuts right there. I am going to go ahead and cut it out. So I traced the 2 pieces, and I'm going to test it by putting it on each of the legs and shape it the way wherever I need to make sure it's not too small or too big. I think it extends out more than I would like for it to, so I'm gonna here and trace some on the sides. So I'm going to trace the side there. trace a little bit on the front. So I'm gonna keep doing this till I get it fitted right, and then I'll be ready to glue it on. So now the soles are ready to be glued in. An extra step that I usually do is this little cool tool right here. It's called a burnishing tool, and what it does is you just run it here, and you run it at the edge. You can just sit there and while you watch TV, just keep doing that. There's no rush in making any shoes because it's not a race, right? You're trying to get the best product you want. So in general, you can just sit there. It's very optional step, but you just basically sit there and rub the edge till it looks finished. I'm gonna rub for a little bit and show you how it would look if you did it. So for burnishing, I typically apply this finish. It's called Rezoling, and it's a leather finish, and I typically just use a Q-tip and just run the Q-tip on the end to protect the leather on the sides, and it also makes it nice and shiny when you burnish it. So I do that. I know it seems like it's a lot of steps, but however, it's just a lot of small steps. It's like anything else. If you know, a lot of small steps and then it's done. It's the same when you make bras. It's the same when you do certain sewing patterns that have many pieces. You just take it one step at a time and break it down in small pieces till you're done. You don't try to overwhelm yourself with the whole process. Shoemaking is the same exact way. So this piece that at the end here that goes underneath the heels, I'm just gonna go ahead and shave up a little on it. Alright, so I have the piece that tapers here. So the next step is to apply the cement and on both surfaces, let it dry and put it together. So what I should have done before applying the cement is to, I can use actually use the pattern to do this, is to mark where I'm going to, you mark exactly where you're going with a silver pen, exactly where you're going to apply the sole, and then apply the glue only to that area so you don't have glue everywhere. Especially in fabric, you don't want to have glue all over. I'm just going to do that. That's exactly where that's going to sit. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Now you should do it really with the insole, but it doesn't matter. You can do it with also just with the pattern. I already applied glue to that, so I can't go back and do it anymore. But you really should use the piece you're gonna be using to do it. Especially with fabric, you do not want to have a gluey mess everywhere because you can't really clean that up. So here I did draw some lines exactly. I don't know if you can see how to see it. Yeah, you can see that there. Where I'm gonna apply my glue, and I drew the line all around that. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply the glue to the sole of the shoe. Just be careful not to get glue everywhere. All right, so the sole and the insole are both dry now. To do this, I prefer to put mine back onto the last. You can do it without it, but I just prefer to do that just because it just maintains the shape of the shoe when I do it. It just kind of helps maintain the shape for me. So I usually start from the front and then I just work my way back. Gotta make sure you have the right side. And it's best if you put this on your lap to do it. So I just put it on my lap, and in the edge here is the piece. And then just slowly work my way. So I put this one, I'm getting all the edges nice. You can do a few things. You can just kind of press it down with a tool. You don't have to hammer this. You don't need to do any hammering. You just press it around and just move it around so it really glues in the piece. Do the same thing on this side. So it glues in there. Right. I'm gonna try to put the heel and see how it will look if I put the heel on there. It shows a little bit on the side here, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim this side a little bit. Once I put it in, I can take it out the last. I'm gonna trim this a little. I'm gonna go ahead here and trim a little off. Move it this way. Slightly one-sided. Okay. So my heel will sit there. looks good, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other sole. Okay, next step is to prepare the heels so you can put them on, and so we'll go ahead and do that. Preparing the heels. Now I love these 2.5 block heels that I get from Last Assembly. I use them in a lot of my shoes. It's very comfortable for me, and there's not that many options out there. I have some that I purchased from other places, but the options are very limited when it comes to shoe heels. So if you know somewhere that has some great block shoe heels, please let me know. But I think one of the supplies in shoemaking that's very rare. It's very hard to get because most of the time they're selling to not to individual people but to companies. So to do this, I already have a pattern traced out, so I don't have to do it every time. I just want to show you how I do it. So you pretty much trace out this end, and then you kind of round it around, and then just roll it over and continue to do the same thing there, and you get right there. And then you do the same thing for the bottom. Just roll it around so you get the length of the bottom piece. And then this is the round part. To get the front piece, you figure halfway. So halfway of this is about there, and then you're gonna place it down and draw it up to the halfway mark, and then draw it over here up to the halfway mark. Okay, and then you do the same thing for this side. You place it down, draw it on this side to the halfway mark, and draw it on this side to the halfway mark. And then you just draw a line down. So now you have, let me do this with a pencil. Now you have something that looks like this. Okay, so this part is going to be a little bit taller than that part, and then you're going to include yours. So that's just the length, and then you include I'll say 3mm seam allowance on the top piece. And about 0.5 millimeter on the side piece that comes around. The same thing here. For me, for the bottom, I don't, because a lot of times I just leave the straight edge. You can include it, but then you have to cut it off. So for me, I prefer to not include the seam allowance in the bottom piece. So I typically just go ahead and cut out my heel pattern. So the pattern will look like this. That's the pattern for my heel. That way when I wrap it around, excuse me, that way when I wrap it around, there's a seam allowance there. I wrap it around in the middle, and I typically would trim off the excess when I draw a line there in the middle, and then fold these pieces in like that. Okay. So here's my pattern piece for the heel. I had some leftover of this crap pink fabric that I love. It's like a salmon baby pink type leather fabric, and I was able to find some because I think it matches really well with these shoes as far as the heel goes, than this darker pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So I'm gonna turn around, cut 2 pieces for my leather. I'm gonna do 2 pieces for my heels. All right, so I have my 2 heel pieces here, and so the next thing I'll do is apply water-based glue on the wooden piece as well as the sole, and then glue it together. So I'm going to go ahead and apply glue. All right, now so my pieces are all dry, and what I'd like to do is you want to know where the center here is, so you mark the center on this side, and you can measure across on both sides, measure across here and mark the center as well, and then you measure across and mark the center here, and you measure across and mark the center here. And the other thing you want to know is where the center of your piece is, so you can just fold it over this way and make a mark on the center, top and bottom. And if you can just fold it this way, again on the other piece, you can make a mark on the center. That's just so that when you place it, you're not totally off. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take it, you're gonna place, so you can make a mark on the, so when you make a mark on the bottom, you can make a mark on the bottom as well, where the center is, and you do the same thing right here, where the center is. I am just guesstimating. For me, that's enough. If you want to really be accurate, you can measure around and then mark the center. I'm going to take the piece, I'm going to place it right there where the 2 marks meet, right there in the center. I'm going to place that, and I'm going to move it up and place it right here where the 2 lines meet right there. So if you can see, my shadowing is getting bad, but if you can see right there. So that's the middle, and then I'm going to just fold it, fold my leather piece across so that I completely cover the wooden piece right there, and I fold it across and turn around the front, and I do the same thing, fold it over the wooden piece until it comes all the way across. You don't have to make it tight yet. I'm going to go ahead on the other side and do the same thing. I'm going to fold it across there and then fold it there. So you have it looks, at this point it looks like this. So next, what you're gonna do is draw a line. You want to mark, so you want to draw a line, a straight line across on the inside where the center is, so something like that. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a blade and you're gonna run it straight down where the center line is, all the way down like that. Okay, like that. And then you're gonna peel off that piece, and then you're gonna open up this piece and peel off this other piece. It didn't completely cut for mine, so I have to cut it a little bit more right there. Okay, so you peel off this other piece, and then you're gonna go ahead and place this piece down so that it's touching, so that's the center line and it's touching. I'm gonna make a little bit of adjustment there so it's really touching each other right there. All right, so that's the piece, and then here you just kind of go in and fold it in right there. And then you take a piece of, so you have all those little folds, you take a piece of scissors and just trim them out. That's that. Okay, I usually will take this, my magic tool, and just kind of use it to run it there so it's nice and flat. Just makes it nice and flat. So that's my one heel is complete. So if I were to place it on my shoe, it will look something like this. It will look something like that. Alright, so now I finished my soles and I'm ready to screw it on, and so I'm gonna need a drill to do this. You can use a drill, or you can screw it with your hands, but it's easier to use a drill. And you need a hole puncher for the drill head. Typically, the insole has a metal piece on the inside, which you want to avoid when you put in your heel. So you put your heel exactly where you would like it to be here. And then you're going to hold it in place. Usually it's best to do this standing up, and you're going to drill on the side. You're going to start one side, you're going to drill the hole in, and then you're going to change it, and you're going to put a screw. I'm using a 1-inch screw today. You can use 3/4 inch, that's fine, but I just prefer to use 1-inch screws. So, all right, and I'm gonna just hold it in place so it goes more. Do another one right there. And I put in this screw. This one did not seem to sit very well, so I'm going to put another screw in here. So my heels are in, I'm pretty sturdy. The shoe is pretty much complete at this time. The last part is to go ahead and put the insole cushion to cover this area, and the insole sock. I have pre-made patterns for this, and I'm going to use those. So the last part of the shoe making process, it's fun, it's more decorative, and it's also more for comfort. The insole socks help to cover all the nails here and make this center part more a lot neater. So today I'm using this EVA foam. This was gifted to me by Last Assembly when I purchased some stuff from her store. She's very nice, Christina, and I love her products. So anyway, so I'm gonna use this. I have two patterns. This insole pattern I did create using the one I got from I Can Make Shoes when I took their courses. I just made this pattern, and I use it for most. I modify it sometimes if the shoes thinner or wider, but I pretty much use this for a lot of my mules, sandals, and pumps. So that's what I use. And then underneath, you need something a little bit smaller that can sit underneath that, and for that, which it's gonna have a foam that adds for some more comfort and covers also the nails, so that you can't feel the nails underneath your foot or the holes created by the nails. Now the nails do sink in when I make them. They sink in because I have foam already in the shoe. But this also gives additional comfort that is necessary. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure. I'm gonna go ahead and draw out the pattern for the insole foam. All right, so I have 2 of my foam pieces here, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the insole sock, which I'm gonna use the same leather as I use in the lining and the lining pretty much for the straps and the front of the shoe. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut 2 pieces of this. I'm being careful to flip it because you do not want to end up with 2 of the same size. So I'm gonna do, first I'm gonna do 1, and I'm gonna flip and make 2. Sometimes I do prefer to just cut it straight across, and sometimes I prefer to use my scallop scissors that have the seesaw type edges, the saw type edges in the end. That way, when I cut it, it makes a nice finish edge. So I just go and cut it across the line where I want it, and so see, it gives a very nice finish edge with the scallop. So I'm gonna go ahead around and do it all the way around. All right, so I have my 2 insole pieces and my two insole sock pieces and my 2 foam pieces. There. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece first to this one and then glue it onto the other piece. First, I'm gonna put it on here and just mark where I'm going to put the glue so I don't have the glue all over. The sock pretty much fills most of the shoe anyway, so it should be good. Yeah, so it's pretty much the whole top of it. All right, and I'm gonna go mark where it ends in the front so that my glue just is right there. So I know where to stop gluing. Okay. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the other one. And I'm gonna apply my glue to each side, stick it together, and apply it to this side and stick it to that, and then it'll be done. So For this, I'll be using the water-based glue. Alright, to make the holes for the buckles, I'm just going to go ahead and place a clear ruler so I can see exactly where the middle is. This is about 1 inch width, so right here I'm at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and every inch in the center I'm going to place a dot where I'm going to make the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and make, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other strap here. So right there in the middle, you see exactly where I'm going to make my holes. So I'm going to use this leather hole puncher that I purchased several years ago when I was making my labels. And I typically will use the smallest hole just so I don't overstretch it at any point. So the smallest hole is right here, and I'm going to just place it in, and it's really simple. And just punch. Punch exactly where the dots are. So I have my holes there. You can see that, and you can see on the other side there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So the last part is to put my logo in the shoe now that it's all complete. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in the center here and just put it. Now this leather does not, because it's a heat stamp, it shows really better for lighter leather, and the darker the leather is, the less likely it will show. And this one shows pretty dark, but either way, it still shows 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And that's what I determined this one needed. So there we go. It's right there. Miracon stitches. Miracon handcrafted. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. And there we go. Right there. Miracon handcrafted. Now it's done. Now we are complete with the shoe make. I'm going to go ahead and truly try it on. I am going to be trying on the shoe because there we go. It's right there. I'm going to put my foot in. And it's lovely. I like it. And cross my X and strap it up. I love it. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. I love the buckles. They're pretty, kind of nice. Nice. I like large buckles and shoes. I don't know why I just do. There we go. So this is what my shoes look like. And now I am ready to party.